cops. No, I got this from a listener, and I wasn't going to do this, but I am going to do it today because, of course, I cannot be controlled. I'm not afraid. Yeah, I know my TV show is going to get canceled here this week, and we know how it works around here in Austin. Okay, we know who pulls the strings here. and it's not the powers that be that we're worried about. We know who's taken me off the air here and kept me off the air constantly, and that's a whole other story. But I got this from a listener, and I know the listener, and I know that this is what he's saying is true in just about every way. So he called me last night, and I said, write this down, and he sent it to me, and this is what he wrote. Last Sunday at the Texas Kite Festival, we just didn't go this year, there were Texas State Guard troops assisting the event organizers at the parking lot. The event took place at the popular Zilker Park in Austin, Texas. It's a huge kite festival. It's so huge that you can't even actually fly a kite. It's kind of an exercise in futility, like so many things. The following day, the story broke out on a certain so-called, quote-unquote, alternative news and talk show. That would be the very one we're just talking about here in Austin, Texas, that Stratfor mentioned. That these troops were performing domestic police roles, as their website posted a video of them loading people on buses with Black Hawk helicopters flying over the park. In fact, I believe they tried to say that this was part of the NDAA in full focus. This is the police state. Be afraid. Be very afraid. The talk show host, Mr. Jones, implied that these troops were there to acclimate the public into accepting the new NDAA directive signed by Obama, as I said. The article written by his so-called editor-in-chief, that would be my dear Watson, plagiarizer-in-chief, and the comments by the readers nearly portrayed these troops, these Texas Guard troops, as Nazis loading Jews onto the trains on the way to the execution chambers. Now, so says my listener, given that, coincidentally enough, he's a member of that Texas State Guard, he was deeply offended by the lies, smear tactics, and fear-mongering made by this so-called talk show host. The sheer venom in the words written by the author of the article and the idiotic comments posted by their cult-like zombified followers. Yeah, that's right. They've just gone from one controlled media to another, and you're not awake. No. No, again, I'm going to read more of this, but I got to tell you, I know the person. They've been telling me that the State Guard, and I'm leaking this to you, we've already talked about it, is largely on our side, that they know that they support Ron Paul, that they are anti-police state, that they're oath keepers, and that they will not. And these are guys that basically, buy their own uniforms. They fund all their own stuff. They are as close as we can get to organized militia in this state, though we also have unorganized militia here, thankfully. And he's a little upset that these guys who have been, talking so wonderfully about helping the people and not going along with the militarized police state and this NDAA stuff, and who support Ron Paul, a little upset that they've been portrayed as Nazis, as enforcers of this NDAA, which they're almost all against to a man. I'm telling you, that's the truth. Hey, I'm leaking tips. It's not like I'm just getting a tip and some guy I don't know, and I'm now repeating my own little psyop. No, I mean, we know these people. I've known this guy for years. Huge patriot, okay? Had dinner with him, know his family. So I'm going to say that. And you might know him too, but we're going to keep his identity anonymous for now. So the truth is that the Texas Guard was asked, actually, by the event organizers to help them out with parking duties. Mr. Obama did not send them there, nor did the Pentagon. They do that type of work at many public events. These are people that help, that go and rescue people when there's a disaster. And they do this so they can make a couple of bucks. They can buy cots and buy stuff because the state's not giving them any money. That's all going to the feds. They volunteer for this, man, because they believe in helping their community, the people I know. It goes on. Typically, we accept invitations from many different events like air shows, parades, rodeos, sporting events, and yes, even kite festivals like this one. In exchange, they let us set up a small recruiting booth so we can hand out flyers to let people know who we are. Also, if the organizers are generous enough, sometimes they donate a small fee to our units so we can have funds to purchase cots, first aid kits, and other equipment that we use during natural emergencies like floods or hurricanes. We operate with zero budget in order to save taxpayer dollars. We have to raise our own money like the volunteer firefighters do. We are Texas military volunteers that help other Texans during floods and natural disasters. We are not federal troops. We are not allowed to carry weapons. We purchase our own uniforms, and they have them, though. Okay? They purchase their own uniforms, their equipment, and unfortunately, they have to rely on events like the Kite Festival so they can pay for their own training, meals, and gear so that they can better serve their fellow citizens during emergencies. And what about the video? They put up this video with a Black Hawk helicopter near the park. He goes, if this talk show host knew his way around Austin, he would know that Zilker Park is located about 2 miles from Camp Mabry, our military home base. Helicopters fly in and out of the base regularly. In fact, they fly over our house quite a bit here. We're not too far from Zilker Park, a few miles, and I get these Blackhawks and big military helicopters flying low, and, you know, it definitely gets my attention, being who I am. So it's by Camp Mabry. Helicopters fly in and out of the base regularly, especially during drill weekends like this last Sunday. Yes, a little drill there. And again, our base is located almost right next to the park on the other side of the lake. Of course, this talk show host had failed to mention that blatant fact because it didn't sound as good, because you're not going to get hits on your website, and you can't back up this big story that you've made up to scare the people into, buying your videos and supporting your sponsors and telling everybody in the whole world about you. I'm not sure if it's because he's not familiar with that area. No, I think he is. Or, and this is what I think it is, he intentionally chose not to mention it so he could conveniently lie by omission in order to continue scaring his audience. I hope it wasn't the latter, writes this listener, our friend. Either way, his venomous comments and lies made my stomach turn, which made me feel obligated to write this response, hoping that the people would find the truth. So that's not going to get out anywhere else. A lot of people aren't going to go there, and of course, they'd rather write the conspiracies about, it's a Zionist plot or it's a Catholic plot. I don't know, maybe it is. It's a zombie plot. It's a Stratfor plot. It's all these different little plots. None of it has a shred of evidence. Most of it is just simply guilt by association, and it makes you look a little crazy, which is exactly what this talk show host likes, because then it can point at you, the detractors, and go, look at my detractors, they're crazy. Which is why all the things I've said in the past, I get beat the hell over, because they're true, they're tangible, and we have eyewitnesses. But this is just another case. And I let a lot of this stuff go. The potassium iodide scare from Fukushima, jacking up the price and gouging people, lying again, or lying that the pig flu is coming to all kill us in a mutated fashion when that happened, even though myself and my researchers were telling you that the whole thing was a stunt, it was fake, and there was nothing to it, and not to worry, and not to go get vaccinated, and not to be herded into in immunization centers and quarantines, or even not to worry, go ahead and buy pork. Oh, I know, that's the bad part. You eat pork, you do? I'm not listening to this show ever again. So I'm putting it on the record. There it is. And again, this isn't an anonymous person. This is somebody I know. We've been getting all kinds of great news about the Texas State Guard, and I feel bad for them, because these are people who, just as we always wanted, and maybe largely even because of this talk show host, these are people that got your back. Or at least hope to have your back, and certainly aren't going to be taking marching orders from the New World Order. So just another case of taking a simple little thing and blowing it all out of proportion and getting everybody all freaked out. So I guess, when they say the strike in Iran is coming tomorrow, that the nukes are coming tomorrow, or that Russia is coming to invade us, which they said during Y2K, maybe you might want to take that with a grain of salt. That's all I'm saying. I think we can let it sit there, right? Guess someone will make a YouTube out of this. I didn't make any of the other. I just, we put this stuff on the air and then I forget about it. No, I'm not obsessed. No, I'm not jealous. News flash. Not everybody wants to be you. And you certainly don't want to be me. Been a hard road. We do it, though. All right, looks like we're about to go to break here. I want to come back, and we've got more terrorism news. FBI tries to coax Muslim into bombing U.S. Capitol. You remember this. This is a little update on the story. The FBI infiltrating and entrapping Dumases out there, you Dumases, like the one guy at the Hutari. We're going to do a big update on that tomorrow and get you guys up to speed on the latest on the Hutari trial. We've got somebody inside in that. That's not something that I guess the big alternative talk show hosts are going to report on, right? Don't want to get wrapped up in, don't want to get too close to that. Nope. Not unless there's a big story in it. I don't care about the big story. We're just going to try to get you that information. So that's